Welcome back. We are taking your legal questions this hour. This is the number you need to call if you do have a question, 436-1212. That's because Charlie O'Hara is here answering your legal questions today. And we were actually talking a little bit during the break because we know the big holiday is coming up this weekend, New Year's Eve, folks having parties out there. Is there a question, though, if you serve someone too much alcohol at your house party, they drive home, get into an accident, what kind of legal things can we get into there?
Well, I don't really completely know the answer to that off the top of my head, but I think the law is changing a little bit, and you should be real careful. I mean, obviously, we all have a moral obligation to not let people go out and commit crimes or get hurt or hurt other people. So I think really, if you're having a party, you really ought to try to make sure that anybody that's really intoxicated doesn't drive.
Yes.
And you may have some responsibility if you do that. So you really ought to be careful. And I think on top of that, we ought to all be careful. If somebody's driving or somebody's drunk and they think they ought to drive, we ought to really make an effort to keep them from doing that.
Yes. Well, let's talk about that too for a minute, because we know law enforcement will be out in force this weekend looking for suspected drunk drivers. And if you don't know what the laws are, talk about the ramifications you face if you are a driver who has been found to be drinking too much.
Well, the problem is that not only do you have incarceration that can put you in jail for a little bit, and on the first time it's usually 2 days. You can sometimes get away around that, and then it escalates up. But you also lose your driver's license, which is a big deal in Wichita, Kansas, or anywhere around here, because we don't have good public transportation. So without a driver's license, you're going to need a driver, and you're probably going to lose that for somewhere around 45 days or so at least. So that's a real problem.
And financially wise, I mean, it is a blow to your pocketbook if you get caught for this charge.
It sure is. Attorneys like to charge a little bit of money, and there's some fines and different things like that. But I think the biggest thing is the driver's license is a real problem. I mean, I've had people that are more worried about their driver's license than the incarceration.
Well, it can have an impact on their job if they have one and have to get there. And as you mentioned, not great public transportation options for us, and it'll be pretty costly if you have to cab all the time.
Especially if you're out in a suburb or something like that and trying to get downtown to work or out to one of the aircraft plants, you're going to have somebody help you.
Well, and there's been a big campaign push, too, about the difference between drunk driving and buzz driving, because there really isn't a big difference between some of those areas. You can get in the same trouble.
Well, we have a legal limit. It's 0.08, and if you're over that, you're in trouble. If you're under that, you're probably okay. Now, sometimes people are under that and they think they're okay, but they've been taking drugs or even prescription medicine. In fact, if you take too much prescription medicine and it affects your driving, even though you have a prescription, it doesn't matter. You're still driving under the influence.
All right, Charlie. Well, we do have a call out there right now. Caller, what's your question?
Yes. My question is, I got into a wreck, rear-ended, at the post office, and I have a shoulder injury. I need surgery, but I also developed leukemia in the meantime. This happened way back in June 3rd, 2010. What I was wanting to know is, I was wanting to put in for a scheduled award. Do I have to wait until after I have the surgery, because I'm getting a transplant for bone marrow and cannot do the surgery for quite a while? I was wondering, can I put in for a scheduled award, just get a rating from the surgeon before the surgery and get paid my scheduled award, was my question.
Okay, well, that's kind of an involved question. It sounds like there's a lot of problems you're having. I think I would get with it as quick as I could and get something filed. I think your scheduled award, you're referring to workman's compensation, and you were evidently working when this happened. I think you ought to get the legal process going as quickly as you can. That's quite a while ago, and the time may have actually already run. So I'd get right on that and get it going. I think you can switch that if other ailments are related to it.
All right, we've got another caller on the line. Caller, what's your question?
Hi, I was wondering, what's the maximum penalty that I'm facing? I have one conviction for petty theft, and I recently got another petty theft.
Well, I think on the second one, I'm going off the top of my head, I think on the second one it still becomes a misdemeanor. On the third one it becomes a felony, I believe, and so it becomes more serious, but a maximum penalty would be 12 months in jail. Probably will not get that, but a second-time offense is always serious in anything like theft or anything like that.
All right, some great advice out there, Charlie. I know you're not slowing down over the holiday season. You guys stay busy this time.
We stay busy. Things keep happening.